NemeSeptember continues, but is wrapping up in no particular order with another figure that I looked at previously on the channel, but now this is the Nemesis repaint version. So here we have, as you can clearly see, Power of the Primes Nemesis Prime. This is the Nemesis recolor of Power of the Primes Optimus Prime. And I actually really liked that figure for what it was. I really like this figure for what it is. I am still not entirely sure how I feel about the head sculpts, which I'll talk about more when I get to them, but as an overall figure, I think this is really cool. As you can probably tell, I actually do have the Reprolabels set on this guy. Has got actually nice stickers on the trailer that go all the way along there. The cab has that stripe that continues along, and yeah, it just kind of seemed like a necessary thing. So got the Reprolabels on this guy, so we're going to be looking at that as well. Oh, also the silver along the wheels, you can see that. But for now, here we have Power of the Primes Nemesis Prime with the trailer and everything like that, and this works really well. The sword on top does stand out, so I'm just going to take that off, but there you can see the sword in its entirety, and it's a good looking sword, and we'll put it in the robot mode hands later. I will say though, I do have all of the other accessories that came with this guy. He comes with a bird that turns into a sword, and like two bigger Power Master-ish dual-barreled guns. But I don't have them out because it's just a lot. It's a lot of accessories this guy comes with, and as far as I'm concerned, all I really need are the sword and the blaster, with the blaster being incorporated into the trailer there. The other stuff is just kind of awkward to stack on this guy, and if you want to use the dual-barreled things, you have to like flip panels out and kind of disrupt the look of the trailer. It's just kind of eh. So yeah, all I've got is the sword and the blaster. Now, as for all of this, unlike the Nebulon Quest, the Super Convoy in black that we looked at last time, I feel like this works better in the all black paint scheme. That one works, but like it looked like kind of a blob because there was not a lot of color breakup even with like the stickers and stuff. This guy I think pulls it off better because there is more separation. Like the stripe is proportionally bigger on the trailer. Even though this is robot bits, you do get some stuff along the top of the trailer. The cab has stuff going on here, but you've got this stripe that goes all the way along as well. The bright windows stand out. There's a lot of silver and this kind of metallic-y bluish color, though those I believe are Reprolabels that have been applied. But like there's all this stuff going on in the front as well as sides. I just think it makes the potential monotony of being all in black work a little bit better because it does separate it out somewhat. Also, to this figure's benefit over the Power of the Primes Optimus Prime figure, because of the fact that it's pretty much all black and gray plastic, it makes the cab and trailer look a lot more cohesive. Yes, the cab is still a mess, but because it's all in black, these bits along the back here, the forearms that are just kind of chilling out back there, they don't stand out as much as they did on the regular Optimus Prime version. Similarly, all of the stuff that's like along here, the panels and the breakup bits and the stuff along the top, it doesn't stand out as much on Nemesis Prime because it's all in black. And around back here you can see some of the other stickers that are on there for like the rear bumper and the caution thing. But yeah, this color scheme just works better. And I also like the blaster integration on the top there. It sticks out a little bit, but it is what it is. Now this is a hill I feel like I've said I will die on before when talking about Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, but I'll also say it with Nemesis Prime. This is actually a really nice figure, and I don't think it gets a lot of hate, especially not now that people have kind of, had time to adjust to it, but I just think it's a really cool set overall. Now in terms of size, it is Artfire, Rotor Storm, and Ova Prime, and Samus, and Burnout. So there is how Nemesis Prime and the trailer stack up compared to all of that stuff. And let's get all this out of here. Go. And because it's the one everyone comes here for, right? Here is Nemesis Prime with the duck tank. Alright, transformation time. So first off, I'm gonna just take the gun out of here, this bit, kind of split a little bit. You don't have to de-transform the whole thing, but want to separate out this top section a little bit to unpeg the blaster. And now it's gonna close that back up, and this is gonna stay. Trailer's gonna stay off to the side for now because this guy does not have a base mode. There we've got the blaster, which does separate into two halves of a blaster. And now for the cab itself. Before we transform the cab, just want to tell everyone, if you like this video for some reason, or any of the other videos that I've done on this channel, or the fact that NemeSeptember came back and you want to support the channel, there is a link in the description for a Patreon. I only have a single tier that is $1 a month, and that $1 a month will support the channel, as I said, and also get you early access to new videos. In addition to that, if you'd rather support the channel without spending money, you could always like, share, comment, subscribe, that kind of thing. Or there is a completely different link down in the description to join the Discord server for an online store called ShowZ. They're growing a pretty cool community over there, and ShowZ is a really great site. They've got great customer service. They sell primarily third-party Masterpiece and knockoff style stuff. They are overseas, so shipping can sometimes take a couple of weeks, but great customer service, great site. And yeah, if you use that link to join the Discord server, I get a little bit of store credit that I can put towards future purchases from the site. With all that out of the way, let us transform this, and this is the exact same transformation as Power of the Prime's Orion packs, I guess. So you start. I'm going to untap these wheel sections. They tab into the hips here, or what will be the hips. There's this little tab right there, tabs in up there. And this swings up and goes around the little side mirror there. So if you untap that, you can see how the wheel well kind of goes right around there. Now this whole thing hinges back, and then this double hinge will allow you to hinge it forward, and then bring that up. Same deal here. So now the truck cab looks like that. Now I'm going to take these obvious robot arms and swing them around, and these panels will tab in or click into the side of the torso. I'm going to rotate the bicep around and flip out the fist. And same deal here, swing it around, flip that in, swing that around, flip that out. And now this chest panel actually tabs into the legs. There are these little tabs on the sides here that tab in right in there. And also you can bring the legs down. This comes up and will tab in right up here. The legs you want to pull apart, but I find it's better to slide them apart because this is kind of a, I don't know, I just don't want to risk breaking that little tab, so I'm just going to slide it apart, rotate the thighs, and then flip out the feet. And weirdly, I have an easier time flipping the feet out on Nemesis Prime than I did on Orion packs, even though they're the same exact mold. I don't really understand that. There's that. And then lastly, just take the little platform that the head is sitting on and hold it down, push it in, and there we have Power of the Prime's tiny Nemesis Prime in robot mode. And the stickers that I got for this, they offer a couple of different options. There is a color option for the Reprolabels that allow you to give him more of like a Scourge, like a car robot Scourge look. I did not take that option because I wanted to keep it more Nemesis Prime-y. But that is an option that you do have with the Reprolabels set. With this guy, though, I went with the red windows and the with gray in the chest, silvery blue on the thighs, a little bit of silver on the feet. It is a relatively simple look for this guy, but I think it's effective. The stuff going on in the chest is really cool. This is, from what I recall, I think this is pretty much all just Orion packs. There's no new molding in the body at all, though the head is different, which we will look at more in a sec. So I believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe that this is just 100% Orion packs with a new head, and also in primarily black. It does look good, though. It's a cool look. As I said, black repaint's always awesome. The black and the gray work well, and thankfully you get a little bit of gray in the arms to break things up a bit. That said, it does kind of stink that either through paint or stickers, you don't really get anything for the knee to shin sections or the forearms. I could remedy that with some paint, but it's just a little bit of a shame. I feel like there's a lot going on. Like, you get a little bit in the toes, in the thighs, waist, torso, even in the shoulders, and of course the head, but like just a little bit more breakup here and here would have been nice. As for that head, this is where it's kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't bother me too much with this guy. It's kind of like somebody took Optimus Prime's head and ran it through a, I guess, 1990s Image Comics filter with just spikes. Like, he's got a spiky mohawk. That's cool, but also ridiculous, but I love it. The faceplate is a lot more pinched in and pointy, but then also I think what's really kind of throwing me about this head design the most is the fact that the eyes are set so far apart. I feel like if they were maybe towards the center a little bit more, that would work better, but it's still overall a cool design. I like the harsher angles, and yeah, there's not a lot of color. Like, the helmet itself is just black plastic, but the silver faceplate and red eyes are pretty much all you need for a Nemesis Prime, and they do stand out pretty well. And as I said, this is kind of a neat, spiky design. It's just, more than anything, the eye separation, I think, could have been maybe not quite as extreme. As for the articulation, the head is on a ball joint, but you don't really get much in the way of tilt. You get left and right, and you can kind of look up and down a tiny bit. The shoulders are on ball joints, but because of the nature of all the stuff going on back here, they are kind of limited, so like you can only go out that far. They can go around, but again, it's limited. You get bicep rotation, you get really nice elbow bend thanks to the design, but you don't get any wrist articulation, though you can point them down for like pushing forward swords or something. You can untab this section if you want for like a little bit of a butterfly motion. It starts to look awkward the more out you go, but you can get a little bit out there. And if you untab that, it actually frees up the... no, it doesn't. Okay. That's what it was. It was, you want to go out with the arm, like, spun around, like, because of this shoulder pauldron design and the stuff going on back here, like, that's all you're going to do. So if you untab this, and you don't even have to untab it severely, you can see it doesn't stick out that much, but that will give you the extra range that you need if you want to bring that arm out further. So you can kind of work around those weird shoulder limitations. There is no waist articulation because of everything this guy does. There's just no joint in there. The hips can go forward past 90 and back to about there. What's interesting is this little skirt piece is completely separate from the hip itself. The downside is if you bring the leg forward and then bring it back down to like a more neutral position, this is going to be sticking up and will need to be readjusted. But you can also bring it down like that and then swing it up until it's in position and then kind of recenter the leg as you want. So again, you can work around it. It's just an interesting approach to the to the hip articulation, I think. Anyway, out goes to about there until this tab whacks into the side piece there. There's not really much you can do about that, but it's not terrible out. Get a thigh rotation. The knees can bend to 90, which is good. I like that there's just enough room for that big old gas canister on the back to fit, and also there are chromey stickers on the gas can. And the toes can wiggle, but that's not really a posability thing. It's more of a, you can like bring that down so that it looks like the foot's on the ground if you have it in like a pose that would be primarily balanced back here. So yeah, relatively simple articulation, but it's a it's a core figure for a Power of the Primes kind of super robot mode, so I think that is fine. He does get the weapons. You can plug the big blaster into his hand, which looks like that, or you can split them up and give him individual blasters, which looks kind of like that, and it's not. I'm not really a fan of these as small individual bits. And if you wanted to, you could also give him the sword, which is like that. It doesn't really want to go in all the way. I feel like the peg holes for these fists are a little bit smaller than the big robot fists, but you can give him the sword if you want. I don't really keep him in this mode, so it's not really a thing that matters, but if you're curious, that's how that shakes up. Anyway, let us do our size comparison so we can move on to the main reason why everyone gets this set. Okay, so there we've got the core Nemesis with Artfire and Rotor Storm and Prime, Samus, and Burnout. And yeah, he is pretty tall. He's practically Voyager height. I'd say probably slightly below a modern deluxe in terms of complexity, but he is slightly taller than Artfire, so there is that. Or about the same height as Artfire. I guess it depends if you're looking at head or backpack stuff. Point is, he's a lot taller than I was thinking he was going to be, so he's got that going for him. I mean, really though, I do think he looks cool. He's just not the primary reason why I got this whole set. But he's neat. I will acknowledge that. Okay, now to get ready for the Nemesis Prime proper mode. Going to just straighten out the head, hold up the fists and the arms, and just kind of keep them up and out of the way. Going to fold in the toes, and then rotate the thighs 180 degrees, and then bring these up, and these tabs here will tab in around this little square sections. Actually, no, before we do that, don't want to do that just yet. Before we do that, untab this and the chest plate, and there is the big Nemesis Prime head. You want to bring that out first. Otherwise, you're stuck. Now this can fold in, and this folds in, and that gets the smaller head out of the way. Now these can come up and peg in to the that little section there, and that will fairly solidly lock all of this in place. Like, that's not coming out. And just bring these back in, and this will sit off to the side. Now for the trailer, there's a bunch of tabs along here that need to come out, so I'm going to untab this and untab this, and same deal on this side, untab and untab. Now this whole section along the back will separate, and then these entire sections here will hinge out like that. And let's do this. Okay, so I want to fold this out and all the way around, and then this panel will fold in, and these will fold around to the back, and we'll tab those in a little bit because we've still got to get the legs kind of situated. But rotate that around, fold that in, fold that back, and then the feet hinge down on this double hinge, and they actually click when you push them back far enough. So you want to push them back until they click. And before we separate the legs, we got to do some upper body stuff. So the arms will, there's a tab here that tabs into the waist section. You want to untab that, and that will free this up, that you can rotate the arm section up. Again, untap that, and then rotate the arms up. With the arms up and out of the way, now we can finish the legs. So split them, we'll just peg in right here, straighten them out, and now these panels will go all the way around, wrap around the back of the calf, and peg in right in here to complete the look of the leg. And this is something I always thought was really cool. I like how it both gets rid of the trailer kibble and also makes it so that the it's like it cleans up the leg, basically. I just think that's really well done. Okay. With that done, take care of the arms. Before I forget, because this is something that's easy to forget, I want to take this little peg here, flip that around so that it now sits inside the torso. These panels will fold back and will tab in, kind of. There's like this little tab here that goes in here, and it works. And rotate them up, not down. You want to rotate them up because you actually bring the arms down at that hinge. And that will also bring down these little top flap things. Then you can bring the top flaps down. The arm panels around here this bit will fold in around the back of the arm. And this folds up, and this folds up, and this panel will actually go underneath this little joint here. And that keeps that panel from flapping around. So there is one arm all done, and not all done. You also have to do the smokestack. So pull out the smokestack, and I'm going to pull out the smokestack here, fold this around, fold that in, and fold that in, and there we go. There we've got Nemesis Prime's body all done. And then to finish it off, just want to take the torso and slide it in. There's this little clip thing that will clip under the bumper here. So slide that in so that everything's lined up and push it in. And that'll click into place, and then you can kind of adjust these arms to make sure they sit into these little grooves that are designed like that. And to take the torso out, there's this little lever here. You just pull that down, and that unlocks the little mechanism inside the body so you can pull this out. But there we have Power of the Primes Nemesis Prime as Big Nemesis Prime. And this is very cool. I do, as I said, have an issue kind of with the head sculpt, but not quite. It's complicated feelings around it, basically, but overall, this is cool. This is a very cool figure. As I've said, like, just the base figure itself is excellent. I love Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, specifically Leader Optimus Prime, and having the Nemesis version is practically all I wanted. It has a really nice silhouette. The kibble actually cleans up pretty nicely, like the backs of the legs, the backs of the forearms. They're all things considered, pretty clean, and all you really get are some core robot legs hanging off the back, but that still just kind of works as a backpack. Yes, you've got these big old gaps here, but it's the back of the robot. Who cares? And this guy also has lots of stickers. There are stickers for the shin vents, which I didn't bother with because I didn't really feel it necessary to do the shiny chrome look when there's already this nice silver there. But you get stickers for the toes, for the knees, some chromy silver stickers for the thighs and the sides of the thighs. There are also some metallic blue stickers for the pelvis section and the forearm sections. I don't remember if I put them on or not. I honestly don't remember if these were painted or if they were just straight black plastic. I didn't put the stickers on here, though, because I didn't think they were necessary. There are metallic stickers for the grill, which I did put in, and that was a pain. And then, of course, the silver stickers around the midsection, which looks really good. The red for the windows, which looks really good. There's these inner elbow stickers. There's bicep stickers to add a little bit of silver around the arms. and then also just some added sticker detailing for the insides of this flap and the backs of the fists, which I think they're not essential, but I think they look good. And yeah, this is just an extremely cool figure. I like the size. It's basically MP10 height, and it's just a neat design. And I love that they brought back the whole like Power Master Optimus Prime concept for this leader class figure. It just seems so extra, and I love it. I feel kind of sad that when I first got Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, I didn't realize that it was doing the whole Power Master thing, because that, when I did figure that out, gave me a whole new appreciation for this. Yeah, this guy is extremely cool. Does do the Matrix thing, but I'm not going to show it off in its entirety because I've got some issues. You open this panel up, it actually is designed in such a way that you can pull these flaps out entirely, and that will give you access to the center section, and you can then open that up to reveal the Matrix in there. But I'm not opening it up all the way because, like, you can see right in there, that little silver sticker on this side is totally fine. This one is all chewed up, and that's because that sticker doesn't really sit right. And so if I try to open this door, that sticker is going to get all pushed out of place and bunched up, and I just don't want to deal with that. Eventually what I want to do is take those stickers off and just paint that section like I did with Power Master Prime, or Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, so that I don't have to worry about that anymore, but it's a thing. And you can see the evil red and metallic purple matrix on the inside there, and it is what it is. I think it's fine. It's just using black plastic for the handle section when it's surrounded by black plastic, I think, is kind of not the best idea, because then it just kind of looks like a purple square sitting in his chest. Now, I have said many times I'm not a fan of the Matrix gimmicks, and I'm still not. I've never encountered a Prime figure of any kind where I've been like, yes, that needed to exist. But with that said, as much as I don't like those gimmicks generally, I do think the way they handled it here is really worth appreciating, because that's two different layers of alternate mode stuff that they figured out a way to make it work so that when you're in the fully combined robot mode, you can still access that Matrix chamber in the usual way. Like, that kind of feels like something that they spent a good amount of time trying to design around. Like, this is going to happen, we just have to figure out how to make it work. That's how it feels, and I can appreciate that level of dedication and that level of clever engineering. Now, for the head, this is where I'm kind of like, because okay, small Nemesis head had the eyes being too far apart, which I was like, like that kind of bugs me, but it's still not bad. Big Nemesis, I'm of two minds, because I really like the sculpt. This is actually an incredibly nice sculpt. I like that it's still somewhat evocative of Optimus Prime, but it's a lot more angular. It's not a style of Prime head that I think we've ever seen on any actual Optimus Primes. And it's in like the black and silver with, you know, the silver for the little head crest and the face and all that, but then the red eyes. It looks really good. The angular eyes are also really nice and sinister looking. It's a nice Nemesis Prime head sculpt, but the problem that I keep stumbling against is the fact that it's not a black Optimus Prime head sculpt. It's a completely different head sculpt. And that is horribly contradictory, I know, because I'm constantly complaining about us rehashing G1 over and over again, and this does what I want. It separates itself from G1. This is not a G1 head sculpt, and I absolutely appreciate that, but at the same time, when I look at this guy on the shelf with all my other Nemesis Primes, I can't help but think, man, that looks different. I'm just a walking contradiction. I think with this head in particular, what gets me more is the narrowness of it. It just looks a little too narrow. If it was a little bit wider, I think it wouldn't stick out as much in my mind. But it still looks really good. The sculpting is really nice, and I like the angles on it, and I just think it's cool taken on its own merits. But when looking at it with all of this going on, this doesn't really match the design of what's going on here, and it doesn't really say, you know, Optimus Prime headed black, which obviously that's not what it is, but yeah, I guess that's what it is more than anything. The texture on this just doesn't really fit with this overall smoother texture of the rest of the body, and it's a little bit pinched looking, but yeah. But with that done, as you saw, the head is on a ball joint, so you get side-to-side motion, up and down motion, better than the smaller robot, and then left and right. The arms can do a full 360. The shoulder attachment is back here, so you can see it kind of goes off center the more extreme you get, but from most angles it looks fine. You get outward motion that can go here with no problems, but because of the way it transforms, and that flap getting out of the way, you can go up a lot further. The smokestack will get in the way, but you can either move that out of the way or kind of angle the arm to get around it. But yeah, you can go up a lot. You get a bicep rotation just above the elbow. The elbow bends a little bit past 90. There is no fist articulation, which it's a shame, but it's Power of the Primes. They were definitely figuring out that new budget, so it's fine. It doesn't really bother me. No waist articulation, which again I think is understandable given how all of this comes together. And I think mostly it's this mechanism that's keeping it from happening, because they probably could have worked something in otherwise. The hips can go forward that far and back that far and out that far. You get a thigh rotation, but because of the design of this hip, you're going to have to bring it out more if you want to get rotation past like this point. But that's even brought in, that's plenty of rotation outward for being down that far. I think that's totally fine. And then you get a slightly over 90-degree knee bend, which is very nice. You can also angle the knees forward a bit, which is for the placement in the trailer mode, but it's something that I think can actually be useful for certain poses. And the ankles can go forward and backward, as well as hinge to the side, either side. So got a really nice amount of ankle articulation. It is something where the ankles on this guy, like they are with all Power of the Primes, leader class primes, were a bit on the loose side, so I had to tighten them up. But once they've been tightened, they're really nice. He stands with no problem. And for his weapons, can give him the gun, which looks a lot better as a solid piece, but it's very, very much just here's a piece of plastic that we left a lot of hollowness in to save on the budget, in the vague shape of an ion blaster. And here's the sword, which still looks really cool. And thankfully, it's cast in gray plastic and the blade is painted rather than being cast in plastic color that they used for the blade and then painting the hilt section. Still don't like they did that for a lot of other Nemesis Primes we looked at recently. But yeah, there is Power of the Primes Nemesis Prime, and he's very cool. And tall. And just neat. It's, as I've said many times now, I just really like this set, and having Nemesis version of it is, it's just nice, because I got rid of Power of the Primes Prime a while back because I don't really go out of my way to collect Optimus Primes, but being able to get the Nemesis version makes me happy because I do really, really like that set. Anyway, here we go. Here he is with the regular size comparisons. You can see that this leader class playset style set of figure plus trailer to make a big figure is rather tall. And I said this before, he's basically MP10 height. So he's a big boy. Somewhat limited in articulation in a couple of respects, but like ultimately I think the amount of articulation this guy has is pretty darn good, especially considering it's from Power of Primes. So I can respect that. And lastly, here he is with the duck tank. Alright, we are getting close to the end. We've got 2 more Nemesis Primes to go. And our second to last one is going to be a redux of a figure we looked at last NemeSeptember. So we're going to be seeing how Magic Square is done in the intervening years.